Sean Aney here with RealAgriculture.com and Real Ag Radio, Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM. Well, with all the trade challenges that are happening between Canada and the U.S., very important meeting this week. It's called the NASDA meeting, which is a collection of all the ag secretaries across the U.S. from all the different states. Big Canadian contingent down in Washington, D.C. this week. One of those, of course, is Federal Ag Minister Lawrence MacAulay, who joins us right now. Minister MacAulay, great to chat with you.
Good to be with you, Sean. Good to be with you.
Okay, so you addressed the delegates from at the meeting this morning on Tuesday. What was your message to them?
Well, basically, my message really didn't change much from any. Well, I wasn't there for that much of it, but anybody I heard speaking, or we had a number of meetings too. They're pretty much all on the same boat. Just what tariffs would do and how damaging they would be to the Canadian and American economy. And talking about a price of food, it certainly would affect that pretty quick.
Yeah, and there is a lot of concern about food inflation in the U.S. Currently, for sure. What kind of response did you get from your message? Were you able to pick up some of the vibe in the room?
Oh, I tell you, but of course you have to realize I'm talking to people involved in agriculture. But I think, as you know, it's important that the sectors indicate how they feel about tariffs too. But I didn't certainly meet anybody that was supporting tariffs, and they were concerned about the effect they would have on the wonderful arrangement we have right across North America. And of course, food stability and all that is so vitally important. And of course, inflation is what they figure will happen immediately if the tariffs go in. But we are working hard to make sure convince the people. Of course, anything we can say to government officials, we say, but also to make sure the congressmen and senators and the sectors in the states that deal so much with Canada, and without a doubt depend on Canadian markets too. As you know, a lot of states export into Canada too, so they don't want this trade disruption for sure. They know it'll hurt both Canada and the United States.
Yeah, and what we're seeing at this time is President Trump seems to disagree that it's been a good deal for the U.S., even though he was a part of negotiating that USMCA deal in his first administration. Is there kind of mixed messaging coming out of different lawmakers that you're talking to in the U.S. in that regard in terms of the value of trade?
Well, I mean, all I can tell you is what I heard, and we certainly got received very well from Republicans and Democrats. And the fact is, most people, or if not everybody that I've spoken to, understand just what an effect it would have. Look, we've had a great involvement, connection, totally intertwined with the Americans for a lot of years. And no matter if talking about agriculture or many, many other sectors, they fully understand. But again, I am fully aware of what Trump has said, and he said it before, and we're just in hopes that this will not happen. Some feel that it probably will not happen, but nobody seems to know for sure.
I saw you met with the Secretary of Agriculture for the state of Arkansas. Who were some of the other secretaries that you talked to on a one-on-one basis?
I talked to, of course, Tim McKinney. He's the CEO of NASDAQ. He was a pretty important player, of course, very involved and well connected with Rollins, and also well connected with Sonny Perdue. And I understand they're all pretty well in discussion, these people too. And Wes Ward, I met him, and I met a number of other secretaries from different states when, of course, this morning, we're all of the same mind, I'd say, but then again, they seem to, my encouragement is that they will speak, or have the sectors at least speak to the people involved, and so they understand exactly what ramifications would come from this kind of a move.
Have you talked to USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins yet?
Not yet. I was in hopes that I would be able to meet. I was looking forward to it, but of course she's just been appointed, and I don't think everybody is looking to meet her, and I can understand that. But it's a pretty important meeting, this NASDA meeting, and they felt I should come, and I was wondering if I should or shouldn't. But it's obvious when I came here that We were very well received by the American secretaries, the state secretaries. I think that's very important, and they're pretty open to indicating how important the intertwining of Canada, U.S., Mexican, and particularly U.S., Canada, agricultural sector, and other sectors too, but of course I'm representing agriculture, and how important it is. And I'm very pleased I'm here and met as many people as I possibly could.
Any indication, Minister MacAulay? Of course, we've been hearing a lot about fentanyl and illegal migrants crossing the Canadian border into the U.S. That's kind of caused this tariff reprieve, so to speak. Canada having its action plan. Any agricultural trade related issues that you think or you have heard are in the ask, so to speak, from a U.S. perspective?
No, and on the fentanyl, of course, we indicate just exactly what the situation is. Less than 1%, I believe, of the illegal drugs that pass over the borders on our border. And they seem to understand that. But the people I'm talking to, but I'm not talking to Donald Trump. I'm talking to the secretaries of the different states. And they seem to understand that very small amount of illegal drugs or human movement on the borders, but they do appreciate the SAR and the drug SAR that we appointed, and all the financial moves at the border and the helicopters and that type of thing. We've talked about that, but honestly, it never was a heavy discussion, that part. And mostly we're of the same mind. But again, the man that's making the decision was not in any of the meetings I was at. But I'm just hopeful that all the people that we speak to would be able to try to explain to Trump the integrated nature of agriculture and how much this will affect, sample beef. I mean, they understand that some of them cross the border 5 or 6 times. And there's meat plants in Chicago and other areas that depend on Canadian beef, Canadian stock to keep their operations going. Some of them understood that there'd be processing plants closed if this took place. So I believe our message is getting across. But then, we've met hundreds of thousands of piglets come from Canada to U.S. That was brought up by the American Secretary of Agriculture themselves. They understand that too. I think it's important that we are able to explain it to them, but they're not the ones that makes the decision. But in the end, generally, politicians have to appease their people, and I'm just hopeful that we're able to convince the powers to be that how damaging this will be, and that's what my mission is.
Yeah, I know we're almost out of time. I just want to follow up with the USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins. When do you expect to have your first contact to cover? We know that you had a very strong relationship with former USDA Secretary in the first Trump administration, Sonny Perdue. You had a strong relationship. When do you expect to talk to Secretary Rollins?
Oh, well, of course, we've been in contact, and we were hoping to meet on this trip, but, it just wasn't possible. And I can understand that she would be swamped, plus getting on track as, in fact, what's involved. I mean, when you take over a position like that, you go through a lot of briefings, to say the least. Yeah. And she has to get up to scratch herself, and she, I suppose, not going to meet at least foreign politicians until she's in the business for a while. But of course, I want to meet her as soon as possible because she's pretty close to Donald Trump, and these people are important. And she understands agriculture. She was brought up on a farm, and she understands the business itself. So I hope she will be helpful.
So you have talked to, so you haven't met, but you said you have talked to her.
No.
Oh, okay, you have it. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that to make sure we got it.
But my office is in contact with her office, but no, yes. I have not. And I expect that, Sean, she's going to, as I would too. I'm not going to jump in and meet foreign politicians. You just take over a new job. But anyhow, hopefully we'll meet soon. But we did meet a lot of people, and that's what. And of course, to emphasize, and I think it's. Look, they say it's important. I'm here, and I hope it is. But also the sectors are here. And I think the sectors indicating to the sectors they deal with down here how vitally important this is, and they understand that. That can have a big effect on politicians too. So we're doing everything we possibly can and open to any advice, but doing anything we can in order to get the information as to how devastating this could be.
Great stuff. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us here today. Safe travels back to Ottawa, or your riding in PEI from Washington, D.C., and we'll talk to you again soon, Minister MacAulay.
Thanks, Sean. I was certainly appreciate the appreciation they showed here for us to come, and thank you so much.